Hey, now we're live. Oh, is it automatic or is there like...
I think there's someone in the other room.
Nice.
I think.
Listening to us properties. I've got at least 6 feet away from our nearest participant. If you are okay with me having a mask off. I guess I'll call us to order. 5:30, we want to recognize everybody's time, and we have a quorum +1, which is great. So I'd like to see that. So welcome everybody. First of all, we have a guest, Nikita Palmer from the Conway Alliance for the Arts Board. Also helping plan Arts Fest, and has also been a major contributor helping us collaborate a little bit on the underground art walk unveiling. So we'll talk about all that. Those are a couple of points on our agenda. If y'all are cool with moving us up to the top, just to give her a little bit of freedom if she doesn't want to stick around for us talking about the art plan and everything else. She can leave or stick around and soak it all in either way.
Or watch it online later.
We'll be available. Please comment, subscribe, smash the like button, hit the bell for notifications. We want to keep you updated. So that's our call to order. I guess first order of business going through the agenda. Feels weird without being here. When it takes trying to get this out. So move to approve the July minutes, which are for you here to print out. Nice and easy.
Motion to approve the July minutes.
Second. So all in favor? Any opposed? Awesome. Well, cool. Well, going down our agenda, like I said, we'll talk all things CAFTA and Underground Art Walk here at the start. But the Underground Art Walk launch is sort of the biggie. Wanted to go over a little bit of some of our last minute planning, but Nikita, you want to talk a little bit about some of the things that y'all done, like organizing the Channel 11 reporter and talking, just kind of helping us do outreach and stuff?
Yeah, so as you know, I made the alterations to the flyer, posted it on most of UCA affiliated platforms that I do at UCA. I put it on UConnect. I put it up around campus as well. We did reach out to the news. Jessica Jones reached out. She said she did put us in the books for today, so I believe she will come back out. Hopefully right now. So yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you all for that. We also worked on a little bit trying to coordinate live music, which we did get a volunteer.
Yes, we have one student, Professor Palmer, who's going to do acoustic singing and guitar during the
Mingling section. Perfect. Awesome. Before we go into the things as planned, I did have a question for everybody. Tomorrow is going to look a lot like today, the sort of intermittent rain showers. I don't know what we can do about that, other than just kind of hope at tomorrow around 5:30 it looks like this, rather than what it looked like an hour ago. Intermittent showers and light things, I think we can tell everybody we're going to go ahead and plow on as planned, bring an umbrella. And then if it just gets absolutely, a horrible rain deluge and no one shows up, then maybe we look at scheduling or having some other way to interface with the artists. I'm open to ideas if y'all have any.
Underground is covered.
I mean, that's true, yeah. So much of it is location based. It's not like,
But where are we planning to actually set up the podium?
So, to give us a little bit of an opportunity to spread out, I was hoping to do that right at the entrance. We have sort of that parking area, and then we can kind of come over. I know it's opposite of where I think most of the artists have been entering and most of the mural is, but maybe we can move to that direction. But either one of the openings have that set up to where we can have everybody kind of spread out a little bit, and have the opportunity to filter through and take a little call too. Speaking of, I did have a question from the city that you may or may not be the answer to, which is, do you have power close to there to hook up the PA system?
So I believe so. Aaron and I told me that we're going to have a PA system
Oh,
for
good.
the tent hall there. So I'm assuming that there's some sort of power hookup if there's going to be a PA system. And then
I should have led with that. It's we got approval from the city to have their PA system in the tents. So we'll have tents too. So that will help.
And there will be snacks as well.
Oh, nice.
Cookies and water.
Excellent.
Because if there's a speaker system in the tower.
Yes.
That was a good idea.
Do we know what time they'll be over there to set up?
I do not, but I can check with Aaron and see. I think he's mostly handling that.
I was thinking it was 5 o'clock, but no.
So, I mean, that's the time I was planning to show up, was 5 o'clock, maybe a little bit earlier if I could get there. You know, I'm not sure what they might set up to tents early, and they might do everything else early, but if we can all kind of be there a little bit early just to catch things, coordinate with those folks. We've been a little disjointed, obviously, with the city planning side since we're a layer removed, but being able to coordinate with them and figure out interconnect and everything else. Sent everybody via email the rough proposed agenda I had. Did anybody have any thoughts or qualms with that kind of general flow?
I was just confused. So is Jessica accepting the certificate for every artist, or is each artist going to accept their own?
For the sake of expediency, I was going to have her accept it on behalf of all the artists, and then be able to distribute that to them after the fact and kind of recognize them during her address. I just didn't know how many of them we would have there, and then also how much time we would have for them to be able to go through and do the accept and the handshake through the whole thing. I'm open to other ideas. We can call an audible.
Would it be possible, just that I made expediencies, right? Would it be possible though to maybe just have the mayor have all the artists come up at once and kind of just make a line or be there together and you kind of go down, maybe Jessica could help them hand them out so she would know the artists. And that way they each get to, I mean, I just think like if you're at a ceremony and you're getting a tribute from the mayor, it's something to, shake the mayor's hand and it's something from the mayor. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, again, that's just a question.
No, I love it. And we'll have most of the artists there, so it'll actually be like an impressive line. 9 out of the 10. Right? At least preliminary reports, yeah. Who knows what Yeah. Awesome. Another thing we were coordinating through Aaron was the mayor's part of that, so I don't know how much he's been appraised of that, or if he will just show up on the day and be like, what do I need to do?
I mean, I know he's gotten all the certificates ready to go, so they're already signed by the mayor.
Perfect.
So we're ready to hand those out. But yeah, I'm not sure what time he's planning on being there, but I would assume it's going to be no later than 5.
Yeah, last time we had an event, he showed up, was willing about with everybody before we did the actual launch, so. I'll reach out to Aaron and everything, and just double check that, so if we need to make any last minute adjustments, we can do that tomorrow, but I think it's a fairly inoffensive thing that we requested of him to do, and that sounds great to have them all publicly visible, so. But I think that would be a nice transition between his remarks to the certificates. Speaking of non-connections, I have not heard a confirmation from Jessica that she's received the email, is on board with this journal thing. I'm looking in your direction because you two are my closest connection to
I
having
don't know if
this.
she's going to be there at 5 tomorrow. We're going to put our kids in the computer area for a minute. Set up, so I know she'll be there at 5, that's all I know. I don't know if she's approved or the answer to that.
Okay. Awesome. Well, if nothing else, we'll have a touch base there. If you don't mind, if you're the person in the room with most regular contact, speak up if anybody else has. If you might double check with her, especially on that agenda flow, just because that way he should show up tomorrow and be like, hey, we've given a significant portion of the agenda for you to talk about this or whatever. I hope you're ready.
And at some point, do we need to recognize, the pride, they brought the project to us.
Awesome.
But it was her kind of idea to put it down there and talk to everybody and started it and talked to just too.
Okay.
But I thought it might be able to show it too.
Yeah, that'd be excellent. Since Jessica's kind of got a large part of the actual writing, I would love to do as part of her remarks just on behalf of the art board.
Well, I
ideas and feedback, yeah. Do you have an idea? Is there anything we need to do at the actual event? Free people?
Mingling and greeting people would be great. In talking from the craft board, we did get pointed out that a lot of times, especially kids on bikes and things like that, like to really zip down that trail and go through. And we are hopefully putting a much larger amount of people in there than are normal. So we might have some of us stationed at each end just to kind of be like, be aware there's a whole thing happening in there, and don't just kind of like barrel through and. I mean, all press is good press, but maybe we avoid the bicycle crash
Do you
thing.
think people at homes are worth the one end that we're not?
It would be. Have access to cones? Surely the city has cones.
I'm sure the transportation department does.
Is there a bunch of paperwork to fill out?
I'm not sure about that, but.
Environmental study.
Yeah, we could put a cone with a sign that just says slow down and
Something, yeah, just to let, because we'll get the, what is that, we'll get the north end, right?
Yes.
So if somebody comes flying to the south, just, yeah, that would be good. Or at the very least. Yeah, yeah.
Give you some person. That's the way.
Or a shotgun.
Okay, are we gonna be on Chick-fil-A side or other side?
Chick-fil-A.
Okay.
Only because I want to have it so we catch people as they park come through, and then their first view of all of the. I mean, you can go see it now, but their first view of the debut is walking through it through the side.
There's a Chick-fil-A side.
Yeah.
I think I told something else, but okay.
I mean, they'll have to park on that part anyway, so they'll figure it out.
All the cars.
Awesome. Sorry, I was pulling my email so I can take some notes about what I need to follow up with Aaron about.
Cones.
Mayor Cones, timing. You need the Mayor Cones on time. Awesome. Any other lingering things that we can think about? We'll have us and members of the public in a live event tomorrow at 5:30.
I have a dumb question. It is
Such a thing.
Oh, I'm a teacher, there it is. It is done, right?
Yes.
All the,
To the best of my knowledge, we are complete and 100%. Yeah. As I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure James has done a quick tour of everything. We will have some follow-up discussion after the whole board is able to see it, or most of us are able to see it. I think some of them deviated a little bit from the proposed action. Nothing that's like objectionable, like nobody pitched that they were gonna take puppies and kittens, and now they've painted Bruce in warfare. But I do think some of them have changed a little bit from that, and it's just I think more of an examination for us of sort of that MOU process or agreement process into how we check in and who oversees that, especially thinking about it as we have a master plan being built. How do we fix that with artists and talk about, I'm not opposed to anybody changing the design, that's how art works. But how do we ensure that, especially to be on the good side of the city when we get those things approved and make sure we don't run into situations where promises, puppies, and kids, and stuff. Just think about.
we also, I'm thinking there was some images of something that was gonna, coding, was gonna protect them or something.
Yes, so I had posed that and we had sort of tabled it, and now we can pick it right back up if you like.
We don't have to do that today, but
Yeah.
we should at some point. I think it's worth it.
Yeah, and that was just something too that I would like to, was brought up that Indian artists concerns as well. So we're talking about the anti-graffiti code that teachers as an option put over the top of the finished work, so that if someone who has previously tagged that tunnel comes back through and decides to scroll spray on them, it's easier to clean off without either damaging the underground works or having to call back our artists and say, hey, do you want to fix this or not? And then might help us just the case after. Allow. which again, something for us to talk about, consider especially after you've also in the works, and start thinking about, all right, what's the longevity of this project and everything else. Thank you. Otherwise, see everybody tomorrow at 5 at Chick-fil-A side of the underpass tunnel. I'll coordinate with Aaron via email. I'll actually just kind of probably blast everyone who's the email I have. So look forward to that email. And we'll coordinate just to make sure that they're all in place with us. Thank you so much for reaching out to Jessica just to double check that she's on board and knows that I have a good portion for her to speak. And then, yeah, hopefully send out some last minute invites, see if we can get some people there. I'm hoping, again, that this is a good test case for us to have events in the evening or on the weekend. We are the public art board, and that is when the public is most notoriously active. So we can start making some plans for that sort of stuff, especially for having the mayor out there. I think that's a huge part of being the city art board, is being able to have city officials out, recognizing these works, getting people out where they are, and all that sort of thing. So, any final thoughts on River Harbor for tomorrow? Last minute jitters, things we haven't considered. Awesome. Well, I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited. Thanks again for all the help, especially the flyers and spreading the word. Again, hoping that's something that we can continue to do in the future. Which brings us to, it's on the bottom of the, and in the middle of the list, the CAFT collaboration. So I had a wonderful meeting with Akia and Jamie, Jamie Daniels. Jensen, thank you, Jensen McDaniels, yes. About how we can coordinate on not only Arts Fest coming up, which I gave them supplied them a list of some of our public art that is accessible, and I will send that out via email to all of you to see if we have some additional thoughts. We were thinking of art pieces that are accessible, so not something that's in the roundabout, with the idea that we can have a social media scavenger hunt where we'll drop clues through the whole week of Arts Fest, which is the first week in October. And people can take selfies with the art around Conway, and then whoever has all of their selfies with all of the art clues will be the winner to win a heretofore undefined prize, right? Yeah. Just a general idea to get them out and about. So some of the things that I put down are obviously Pop and Toad now is stuck in my head. Thank you, James. Little Toad on the corner, as well as Revolution, the airport parking lot there. Blue Cycle is on there. The art walk will be one of the things we're recommending people see. We're also reaching out to things that aren't city owned. So like there's cool metal sculptures outside of the Falcon Museum that I think people forget about. I'm even thinking about things like the 9/11 memorial by the fire station. It's a memorial, but it still is a piece of public sculpture that people can go view, and that sort of nature. So, trying to think of that, Bruce, the giant reflective bear next to UCA's campus, is something that's up for contention and thrown on there.
That's a bear?
It is. It's called Bruce. And so he's up for contention, those things that are kind of out and around, it's a little downtown heavy, letting kind of the Arts Fest board decide on some of the last, the actual placements of one. But that's one way that we're trying to collaborate there. As we move forward, and I can let you talk a little bit about sort of CAFT's vision for what service you all want to provide for arts in Conway. And then we can talk a little about how we can support that and how that supports us.
So we want to be a hub for different arts organizations. We want to be able to filter out, information and giving them that we wanted. We have our two big events, which are Art Fest and Arts Awards. We want to promote other arts events in between that time. Really strengthen our relationships with other organizations.
And so some of the flexibility that gives us, they have a web presence that they are a lot flexible in. They're working on calendar events, right? And so as we have things that come up, that's something that we should share with them. As we hear about things, maybe pass along information to CAFTA. It honestly gives us a good place to redirect people if they're looking for arts engagement. We can't have Aaron in the city build us a custom web page that looks different from the other city boards. There's consistency, there's timing, there's personnel. However, that doesn't mean that we can't share information that you get collaborators with an already existing calendar events or people trying to organize that. So as we move forward, not only is that a way for us to help Conway, but it's also a place for us to, as people get used to going to their core finding events or our own events there, then what a great way to have more visibility for our own things going forward. Would also love to see us have more interchange like this. I was participating in their board meeting on Monday, talking about the art event, talking about what we just talked about here. Love to try to have that be sort of a regular rolling occurrence, just to kind of be up on what the other arts folks in the area are doing. It won't be an all-the-time thing, but I'm going to get check. So stay on top of what's going on. And they can stay on top of what we have planned and what we have coming up as well. So just little ways that we can collaborate as we move forward. So welcome any thoughts or staunch opposition that was unforeseen.
Yes, you should.
Awesome. Well, that concludes our underground art walk and cafe talks. Unless you have anything else to add?
I'm excited for tomorrow.
It'll be a great time.
Where is the Spark System to?
So right now we have a few events for like 3 days. And I know soon, like behind this is there some locations planning Kings. I've never been down there, so I can't say for sure. And I know Kings is. And then we're looking for a location for a movie night. So we're still determining like that. It may be on CCA.
What do you need for movie night?
Well, I guess just somewhere we can safely distance and have a big viewing. I know if you did it in the morning, I have to fight the sun, so we can just
It's outside. What about the village square? Maybe that Veterans Village? Well, so it's the green space that's in between the three buildings. And they have to have Shakespeare there. I think it's also have beach in there too.
Between Purple Cow.
It was handy, and then there's parking available, and you also have one, next to
It's a fairness. I think there's even more.
At least go slide around some electric boards exhibits on system for ASC. System works. Cool. Well, feel free to stick around. We'll move on to the next agenda, or if you got to bounce at any time, thanks for coming. Yeah. And so, next item on our agenda is update from the Public Art Master Plan, which we turn to Kyle.
All right. So last week we had a meeting with Amanda Golden from Design Local. So they're based out of Columbus, Ohio. So it was about a 2-hour meeting, and we just kind of filled her in some about the history of Conway, about what the Public Art Board has been doing, some of the projects and current art that's already here in the city. So yeah, going forward, she's definitely hoping to incorporate what we turn her into the Public Art Master Plan. And I know over the coming weeks, she's going to be looking to interview everyone on the Public Art Board, both individually and then as a group as well. So yeah, we're still pretty much on the same timeline as before for the Public Art Master Plan. Seems like it's going well. I've heard from the folks at Designing Local.
Yeah. Excellent. I know I've received an email. Some of y'all may have received an email for joining that outreach coalition. I'm hoping someone from Captain will or has already received. If not, we'll be sure to add them better outreach to less. Well, awesome.
Do we have that list of who all's been reached out to?
We don't. I know that James sent out a spreadsheet, and when I looked at it last, it was pretty sparse. So
I know I personally received the email, but I'm not sure who else got that.
yeah.
It might be good to have everybody's.
Perfect.
Even if that's board members.
Yeah.
So if we can spread that spreadsheet around, we can add different things out there.
Yeah, it should get everybody's email, but I will try to.
I don't think there's a date yet. No. Okay. So I'm sure over the next few weeks I'll talk to her. That's a date. I think she wants to do 2 separate meetings, one with the whole board.
And then I'm sure through those we'll feed them things like the apps, visioning plans from different organizations that have access to and everything else. Which again, they're in the learning about Conway phase, so should everybody time for that, especially other arts organizations and other folks interested and civically minded. That might be one thing that I'm hoping we can expand to, but I will admit I did not get a chance to add to the spreadsheet until they were already sending out invitations. So, but I'm hoping that we can put them onto, non-arts related groups. Especially folks that use park space or things like that are listed where we want to art. I would love to have their feedback on how they feel about that.
There was also all those responses from the Conway Chamber 2035 plan.
Yes.
The people that emailed that said, I'd like to volunteer, that would be a fantastic list of people.
Yes.
I know we're interested in that.
And I can follow back up on that through Lindsay's chamber.
Pretty sure that was a pretty big list too.
Yeah. Absolutely. Handpicked selection of those folks would be awesome.
More the merrier.
Paying these consultants, and they're going to interview.
That's right.
Awesome. Cool. Any other questions, concerns about master plan and how it's being built out?
No, I totally stupid because I got an email from. And and I thought, I can't, they don't interview me. I emailed back and said, no, I'll just fill out the.
We'll probably get some back to. Oh, what's wrong? Awesome. Cool. Thank y'all for taking the time to do that. I will also admit to I've only read the first few lines of that email, but let's get into that. Set some time aside to participate fully in that. Public art policies and best practices. We're obviously going to hold that. That will go into the master art plan and some of the feedback. But again, thinking about things in the midterm, like how do we protect things like art walk? How do we talk about things like how they want to changes and stay in connection to the artist and things of that nature? We'll need to be thinking a little bit about in the interim time. Moving on to Tiny Toads. So, Kyle, you give us a situation update.
Yeah, sure. So for that, we're just about finished with the call for artists for Tiny Toads. So we've included everything that you all had suggested last time about the size of the toads. So we're still sticking with no smaller than 3 cubic inches, no larger than a cubic foot. And then we put all the pictures in there that James went out and took of each specific site. So the artists are going to know exactly where they're going, which I think will be really helpful, it sounds like. And then we're still going to keep the requirement for having bronze or a similar cast metal. It's just we're not getting stuff that's made out of things that aren't going to hold up. But yeah, so that should be going out in the next week or so. And then we still haven't set the official date, sometime around the latter part of September to call us in for that.
Yeah. No, I think that'll be a tight timeline for us to review and select an artist or artists. But I think that should still work out because I want to give us enough time. We have a deadline of October 15th in order to complete the grant requirements for the Arkansas Historic Preservation Committee. No. Those people that preserve historic places, they're going to give us a matching grant of $10,000 to our $10,000 to make this project happen. So before we complete that application, we need to tell them who our artists are, and that we've gotten approval for the project and the $10,000 from our budget from the city council. So all of those things need to happen between now and October 15th. Yeah. So, which, like I said, I think that puts us right on course for that, with just about enough time and a little bit of wiggle room. But we should be able to do that. The picture he's talking about for the rest of the board who may not have been privy to all of that. James and I went around to all of the locations to kind of look for where we might be able to stick a toad, think about the buildings themselves, and in some cases, how amenable the owners have been to the past to arts things. And so we've taken a couple of photos. So there are a few of them. The church on Markham, for instance, is a great little circular window that we would love to offer up to artists if they want to have a toad perch there. And we think that we can have that secured to the building and with the owner's blessing for that particular piece. So we took a picture of that, and we took a picture of the easement in case they wanted to put one on the easement space. Likewise, with the area that's going to actually be the new Markham Park, we'll provide some mock-up photos, I think is what he was going to pull, of what the park itself will look like, so that they have a little bit of leeway about where to hide the toad in the park. And then in some of the other places where we know we're probably going to get a definite no for doing anything to the building or anything not on the public space, we've taken photos of that as well. I think there's an equal mix of some that will just be kind of in the public right of way that we have working with on the ground level, as well as some with verticality. So for instance, we have pretty good odds of at the Balkan County Museum, the old prison, of doing something up high, like on one of that signature tower that will also call attention to the tower, but also be a kind of fun hiding place for a toad. It's not, that way they're not always looking at the ground level for where these things are. So that's what we did. That's the photos he's referring to. We want to also include, I'm not sure if you mentioned it, but maybe a little bit of the history with some of those so they can kind of design a suit. We're giving them $2,000 per toad. Obviously.
What did James bring last time? All the pages of each of the buildings.
Yeah, the booklet. So we have a mock-up of the booklet. Right?
Oh, the Tiny Toad store.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's finished already.
Doesn't that have all the history of the buildings? So it's not.
So if we can make that available with the call.
Where the flavor.
Yeah, we were planning on attaching it as a PDF in there, so.
Perfect. Ahead of the game.
Can we see the gold first?
Oh, sure.
Look it out, see if we.
I think so. I mean, it's not quite finished now, but once we're finished, yeah, you can definitely take a look at it.
Yeah. Yeah, which brings up the interesting case of we need that approved for the next board meeting to go out. And our policy wonks are not in the room unless you all are. But I would presume that if we set up an okay currently for a vote via email for approval for that, that would be okay.
Yes, we've done it before.
Should we make a motion that, and we can make the official, make a motion that we have email conversation about approving all
Second.
for
Yeah, I like toads.
If any toads apply, we will not discriminate against toad artists. So we had a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? If you're opposed, please leave it in the comments. Otherwise, approved. Thank you guys so much. Well, cool. Well, as y'all get that completed, y'all wouldn't mind sending it out to the board as a whole. And then we'll put a tight deadline on folks. That'll be one that we'll need to kind of in the days, not weeks, following receipt of that we can all put eyes to say, looks good.
What's the letter of interest?
I also had that question.
So I think what we're doing right now is just kind of combining it all into the call. It's going to be two separate documents. It's all going to be together.
Gotcha.
Yes.
And do we have a list of places that it's going to be distributed?
No, we do not.
Awesome. What an excellent point. So why don't we take some time here to brainstorm some places that we can put that call out.
The UCA Hendricks.
Capture.
Boundaries.
Yeah, we could get some department for each college. Mm-hmm. Don't
Kyle, I'm going to trust you for this. Is that cool?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, actually, you could just look at me. I already popped in these ones. He also works at UCA. So he knows, and he's having a photo of you, UCA, who made a toad. And I'm like, we want a cute toad. Maybe, I don't know. It was like a bronze toad. And I'm like, have you seen one downtown that looks something like cartoony? Cartoony?
It would be great if, and I can compile a list of everybody that has submitted before to projects.
Yeah.
There's also the galleries, Little Rock.
Yes.
So.
Facebook, it's on the city's website. Anything else?
Obviously, send the Tata, share out all folks. What are we? The South Alliance for the Arts might pick it up. I've worked with them before. Maybe. I got one person who got moved.
When they see $20,000, they'll remember you.
Right. And that might get us some regional things. Yeah, regional attention. If you think of any other ideas from where to put it out once we approve it, people from our way. Copy me and James and Kyle, I guess. And we'll continue building on the list. See where else we can start from. Maybe. Myself. Sorry, I was trying to think of the name of the director of the Arts also. Let's see, they have any suggestions for other places we might put the call out. Awesome. Any other thoughts, questions, concerns about our tiny toads and tiny toad tour? Town. Or thoughts? That's all I got. This is on topic. Today's and tomorrow's thoughts. Awesome. We talked about the tactic collaboration. We talked about, we've not talked about the master map and web app update.
Yeah, so Matt, the GIS manager, has been putting together a list of the publicly owned art, and then James and I are going to be going out to find non-public owned art around the city.
Yeah.
And I know he already has a few places that he wants to look that he's aware of, so we can go and document it and take some pictures. And then I know Bobby Kelly also got more photos of the publicly owned art, so we're also going to be incorporating those into what Matt's story with his story map.
Perfect. I will say, and I will share with you as soon as I have a laptop with internet connection again. But Kim sent out a great list they've done as part of the downtown partnership, kind of around downtown for our things. It's a lot of stuff that we have, but it also includes the lovely and wonderful and much beloved Bronze Children, as well as a lot of the murals that are downtown, most of which are Jessica Jones's, but a few of which are not. So she's got some information on that, but she says me that I can turn this into y'all. And I just haven't had a chance to enter into our master spreadsheet yet. But that's awesome. So we're getting closer to that, which is great. Which, you know, I got you here. I'm going to borrow your knowledge from that. Would that be something that we might be able to collaborate with you all on for helping fill out some of the different pieces of public art around Conway? Okay. We can float how that looks. I mean, I think this is going to be something of an ongoing and evergreen project, even once we have the majority of the story map up. There's always new public art and things coming out. But that's, you know, we're trying to keep that catalog and turn it into a wonderful story map that folks can go to using GIS information so that any piece of art in Conway, they'll be able to not only learn about it, but see exactly where it is so they can put this in. So, part of it listing from for staff.
So I know there was one sent out where people could add the artist, the name of the artist, and sculpture and all that.
It's so active.
Yes.
It should be, yeah.
Yeah.
I've been passionate through some of that stuff. Some of it's not accessible, and some of it's just so like not taken care of. And there's things that people there to amaze.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's not accessible. It's you have to go through the gym building to get in, and that's a key part of membership. So yeah, that's the really big one. That's where the little sculpture is. It's sort of a war memorial. And there's these kind of weird panels. It's really nice. And but the Doughboy's the best one that's there. But it used to be on. But I'll try to find it.
Yeah. Well, we'll resend out that link too. And it's also on also link just to the drive in general. It's also in there under the projects tab. Awesome. Well, thank you all for that, and thank you for renewed interest in helping fill out some of the knowledge that we have there. Like I said, we got downtown pretty well covered, and now we're entering that gray space of the whole of Conway, which, you know, there are lots of little pops of public art, but finding provenance and ownership and everything else is going to be the challenge. More help we have, better.
Speaking of that, could we get one for that list of previous people that have submitted artwork?
Yeah,
Your running list?
would love to have that.
Yes. I know. Yeah. I'm not messing. I'm filling in.
Yeah, absolutely. But that's the master map and web map updates.
Ready for the next one. What's that?
Yeah. So that leads us to future projects in the interim. So we have the unique challenge of working through the master plan, but we know that won't be done for another 9 or 10 months. I think is our time here on that. So about a year out for that. Once we have that, we'll have not only a lot of foundational documents, we'll have some marching orders for some of the bigger projects and things. But also in the interim, we have not only this year's $30,000 provision, but also next year's $30,000 provision are already earmarked towards other larger projects. So the Markham Street project for the MLK Junior Memorial, that has been our $30,000 for this year has moved to that. And then there's the Veterans Roundabouts project, which I know very little about and predates my time on the art board. No, that's I think that's different. I said that with a lot of authority.
I believe you.
And so that is one of the things I would love you to get more details on about that secondary project, because it is earmarked for 2022. And so I know the Monkey Plaza and Green Space and Speaky area that has good acoustics. Yeah, amphitheater thing. Amphitheater is what I was looking for. I know our funding is going towards that to pay for a portion of, I'm sure, the actual sculpture work that is up in there. I don't know, again, a lot about the roundabouts, veterans swirl, other than the fact that it must have passed before City Council at some point. Interesting.
Oh, it didn't come up before.
So it might not be earmarked. We should get some clarity on that. Either way, we've got a $30,000 that's not coming in this year from the earmark that we get. We are also paying for the public master plan, which is what, $55,000-ish. And so we're not out of money, but we're dropping into the $30,000 to $20,000 remaining funds if I'm moving our budget correctly. And so what that means, when we see go up this year, we had an Enterprise go up, we've had Musical Toad, now we're having Art Walk. We're also doing a lot more visibility on social media. I think we're doing it largely for pushing and continuing to push that effort. But all of that, suffice to say, means more eyes are on what we're doing, and more eyes are looking for us to stay active. So I would hate for us to be really, really active in this period and then go dark for about a year while we're doing the master plan. So with that, I would welcome a discussion of some of these ideas that exist here and some other things that y'all think we might. Let's try to establish some criteria for some of the smaller scale projects we might try to take on. And there are photo aids behind in there of some of the things that we might be able to do. And they're open for discussion as well about the provenance of the public art board to do some of these installations, like the Conway is temporary installation, or we want to stick to more traditional art things.
I would personally like to see, especially if we're talking about a year, potentially 2-year period of deployment of funds. I feel like we need to make a goal that at least once a year we have what's meant to be a fairly permanent installation. And then, let's say we're going to spend $10 grand on something this year, I would rather spend it on something that's going to be somewhat permanent, like the painting a crosswalk or something like that. And then something like the funny is temporary installation. It shouldn't take more than $200. I think we need to do a mix. I don't want to just put this as temporary. I don't want to just go out of it temporary because we don't have time right now. Now, hopefully, 4 years down the road, then the experimented and there's hopefully other funding coming in. That would be a great time to put more money towards temporary guidance solutions and things like that. And that's our personal opinion. I would like to see more permanent.
This year or in general?
In general. Until we have a larger budget.
I'm intrigued for this year doing a temporary one because we've done so many permits this year already.
And I'm not opposed to temporary, I just think that if you do it temporary, I don't want to spend all the money.
I agree.
So like if we're spending $10,000 this year, let's spend $500 on temporary, let's spend $9,500
Perfect.
just kind of
Love it. I went someplace and they had inspirational quotes just stamped on the sidewalk. Every street. They just painted it in the sidewalk, on the sidewalk.
Like a stencil.
Stencil, yeah.
I was gonna bring up, I don't know if this probably goes along with this, I'm on the Board of Record Arts Collective, we've actually been putting together a proposal to bring to you guys to do a public Conway poetry project, which would be public installation of poetry they have it in New York, they've got several different states that does something similar, and part of it is stamping.
Yes.
It's a whole thing with the submission, it's a big thing. So, if I can at the next meeting present that proposal, is that possible?
Yeah.
Because
Yes.
like a lot of it has to do.
I think that it was actually poetry, it was on that, for downtown. It was, I mean, it was just a simple, as you walk to wherever you're going, just poetry as you.
College interview building.
Not possible.
And that's kind of part of my proposal, I've been practicing.
Yes, I mean, maybe
Pretty
with
simple.
stencils,
Yeah,
maybe
it can just be laser cut.
Part of the makerspace.
yes.
You know?
So, okay.
I reach any basic thinking.
Maybe potatoes.
And I like the idea of the temporary line installation, especially with partners with atomic workers or something like that, maybe it's a solar thing or something like that. But that might take some time for it to get understanding, you don't have that for
Yeah.
whether or not.
Well, I recognize it too. We do have tentatives coming through, so that'll be something that we'll be able to work on and have upcoming in our roster of things that are going to be not permanent. Sorry, hey, it's at $10,000 budgetary price point. I would also want to. So Tiny Toads we talked about, or I thought even going to the Renaissance for the arts, which by its nature will get us regional artists, and I think for something involving a foundry and casting metal, I think that's a good strategy for an appropriate number of proposals and an appropriate number of submissions.
Yeah.
For other things with a lower barrier to entry and not need for that kind of special launch, I would love to see us have more local artist focus. And see if we can push some projects like that. I mean, one of my favorite things about the Art Walk is the fact that it's, 100% local artists, right? Or primarily, yeah. But it's Con Regents, sorry. Putting effort into making Conway a more beautiful and artful place. And I think it's something that's important to me anyway. And if I have the ability to put a little bit of push bias into stuff that we do, that would be something I hope we look for. So far we've come up with, we would certainly like to focus on at least one permanent piece of art per year. And certainly if we're going to have temporary art, have a very low budget effort. And I put 1,000 or less. That sounds like a good mark for us to come up for. So.
I love the underground art walk 2.0. I like doing it every, I would love to do it every year.
Yeah.
Just,
How
maybe
many
even make an
underground?
event out of it.
Yeah. How
Make
many?
an event, really make an event.
Right. Something that people know. And then
It's the
you.
first Saturday in
Yeah.
April.
How many pedestrian underpasses do we have?
Just as very pedestrian, but not be farm.
Maybe car
It's
underpasses.
that
Good.
giant amount of concrete over there by,
By I-40, let's see.
from Counselors and,
There's pictures.
yes,
Oh, under bridges.
under bridges,
Okay,
yes.
I was like,
Yes, so the bridges, cars.
Yeah, no one in this room can ever say this, repeat this, but that tunnel that's at Hendricks, that's not your property, right? I think it's in county. And Hendricks has a piece on one side, that thing with the sounds and the.
Yeah, it's a license.
But there's a lot of blank space in there. I didn't realize this before, the bridge, the Hendricks Bridge.
Yes.
That's not Hendricks, Hendricks live on that bridge, do you? Because when it goes over, that's a county highway. And that thing is ugly.
I was saying.
Here, I feel like we have, go for years.
I'm really nice that I have to call it underground art walk, but maybe if I get to turn it to be more inclusive of other spaces.
Yeah.
Maybe more, you know, art walk or whatever.
the effort being the same. Yeah.
It's a walkable space of murals.
That's how it's feeling in my notes. Walkable spaces.
You're welcome, right, neighbor.
Well, awesome. Well, and that's something too, as we dig in, that will be figuring out who owns those pieces of infrastructure and how we can interface with those. Because I thought, so I had the opportunity to talk about us to the Cali, the Central Arts Leadership Institute with the Chamber, mentioned the Art Walk launch, mentioned that they should share it, and also talked a little bit about the Conway 2035 plan. We're doing a couple of things. The master plan is something that was called out for in the Conway 2035 thing. We were doing it anyway, it just so happens now we can check that box. Anyway, in talking to them, one of them asked, and I think they are working on it potentially for their Cali project, it's not a bad idea for us to have a backup. If you're watching, I credited you, remember that. But it's not a bad idea to have as a backup to figure out who owns those giant sound partitions by the side of the freeway. Now, if that's RDOT, we might have a little bit of a challenge coordinating with that. But if it's anything related to the city that we can figure out how to work with, and our own transportation grid, our own, sound ordinance enforcement bureau, right now they're giant pieces of white, kind of nothing. That would be great for a large scale rural project. Other pieces of infrastructure like that would be great for the scope of concrete. I think this is also a time that we can use to talk to folks like the street department and figure out how we can start having little collaborations within the city like that. That has been, it seems like, one of our challenges up to this point. I'm thinking about the roundabouts, I'm thinking about where city infrastructure is buried, I'm thinking about road plans, is that we haven't had a lot of collaboration on the other parts of city infrastructure and how our art kind of impacts them. And I know the public art plan and the master plan will help address some of those, but for some of these projects and some of these smaller ideas that we have, we might start paving those roads in the interim time and just see what's possible.
That was a metaphor, right?
Yes. I wanted to be on point metaphor. And that way, even just as simple as meeting the department heads of some of those departments in the city. Because I know some of you are familiar with them. I am familiar with none of them being new relatively to this board. So I would love to meet them and hear more about kind of what they do today, how they interface with the city, and then also how they get word of our projects. I would hate to be that board that they suddenly get a big project and it's like, hey, you're going to do this thing because the Conway Public Art Board said this is what we're going to do, and the council voted it in, so tough luck if you had other plans.
No, we would definitely have to go get their approvals.
Yes.
But it might be good to come up with a list of ideas and just kind of let them start thinking about it. And talking about it. And the master plan might help that too.
For sure.
In the master plan, are they getting the street department?
They should.
They could be, yeah. I mean, I think they're looking to interview as many people as possible, so we can go ahead and try to include them.
Yeah. I was going to say, those large infrastructure holders, that's where, particularly in the roundabouts, which are just the prime opportunity for art. I mean, if we're talking about things Conway is known for, it's toads and roundabouts. And so if we can lean into those and help highlight art. But again, as we run into talking about Apple's roundabout art piece, we ran into what we don't know which ones have critical infrastructure under or over them. We don't know which ones we can run power to. We don't know which ones are going to be revamped. Or we don't know new areas where they might put in roundabouts that will be suitable, which again will be answered in the public art plan. But if we can make friends before then, that'll also be good.
As far as the small scale projects, what did y'all think about coming up with a list of them, or everybody going back, or we can do it tonight, whatever's easiest, and maybe narrow it down a few of them, and just getting some prices and that kind of stuff, or knockoff ones that might be too expensive, they might be too expensive. But get that list together so then we can vote on it and move forward.
Yeah.
Because I like them all. I like the crosswalk one, especially if we could do it. Aren't they talking about having an art wall?
No, we can vote
at
that.
the same time that we
We'll wrap up in a second.
or do the top walk during Arts Fest, right before Arts Fest, so we could go on.
Yeah.
So do we want to start compiling a list of ideas or just go off?
If we think we're comfortable operating offline and all sharing kind of the Google Doc, I would love to create a list of, and let y'all kind of marinate on it and think of cool things or do a little bit of research.
And then the next meeting, we can vote on it.
Yeah, because we have our guiding principles, right? We have some stuff that, let's see, we haven't defined what we would want to spend on a small scale project that's permanent.
I mean, given our current budget, we're down to about 50 grand, and we're gonna make it the next 2 years, and I would say maybe aim for 10, 9, 10.
Yeah.
And it's
But
possible,
like the thing with crosswalk wouldn't be.
and it may not take, it's possible to get 2 projects out of that. I don't know, I mean,
What did we do on, underground crosswalks, was it 10?
No, that was,
2.
so maybe 5,000
Maybe 5.
and it's also possible.
for small scale.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, and we can also apply for matching grants, yes, depending on if we're getting ahead, and now we can apply for grants for matching.
Because then we did, and the reason I wanted to put price tag on this, so as we're brainstorming, we can think of things that are either temporary and under 1,000, or more permanent, but smaller scale projects that we could do for 5,000 for sure, and then start. Or cheaper, yeah.
So we'll have a list of permanent and we'll have a list of temporary.
Yeah.
Right?
And that way we can all kind of brainstorm on, where our own personal passion projects might lie, ideas we've seen that are cool from other places, and we try to update our own thoughts. That y'all have always thought, boy, it would be neat if. Put it out.
Everyone might pick 2 and then like we were ready and make a picture.
Ooh,
You know?
I like that.
Or get like back, do the research on it, everybody do 2
Like,
projects.
is anybody, maybe just, you have to start the list, and anybody who wants to propose something, it's time to propose it, and then we can spend
Yeah.
our meeting next time going through those proposals, and then.
Yeah, because for each one that we choose, there's going to be planning, oversight, approval, so, yeah, we can make space for a couple of pitches per meeting. Okay. Mickey, what do you think?
Hey, I'm with it. Sounds like a really good idea to me.
Awesome. Well, I'll put together a Google Doc, where we can just make a really simple running list. I'll make 2 columns and kind of put some of our criteria on the top of them so that we can have you think of that, and then send it out and say, hey, populate this list for our next meeting, and we'll hear about the poetry project, and then if anybody else, if you had one in mind that you wanted to pitch, you can hear a couple of pitches at the next one and say, yeah. Cool. Awesome. Well, with that, we are at 6:33, and I want to be aware of everyone's time. I know the Google invite said for an hour and a half, but I know we try to keep these to an hour. We also don't have any bylaws that are holding us to an hour and a half. So until such time, I would like to keep this to an hour. I do want to invite, does anybody have any ideas, or do any of you have any specific needs for social media requests?
Yes, so he also created a map folder, there's the communication folder, there's a social media list of like ideas. Don't go into the calendar, just go into the ideas. And if like he did a great, he put a couple of links to just articles about public art. To just kind of evergreen material that we can use that doesn't necessarily, they don't have to be necessarily specific to Conway. But if you also have things that are specific to Conway art, please plug them into there or email me and let me know. I'm also trying to highlight a different board member every month, so I may just go ahead and send the rest of you, if I haven't been highlighted, everything all at once, you may not show up that month, but just respond as quick as possible. And I do need artists to highlight, and that would be something like practical.
Yes.
Okay, I would love to like have people to promote on our page and all that, but I'm trying to like get 7 to 8 posts a month is kind of my goal, but I don't want it to be just like except or whatever, so please send me ideas.
On the posts, are they, I noticed they've been all posted on like one day, like 5 posts on one day. Is that
Not
on
the
purpose?
intention.
Okay. I'm wondering if we can spread them out so.
Well, there's a calendar and I try to do 2 per week.
Yes.
But it's, I'm not doing those things, right?
We're massaging that process.
Cool.
We're gonna call it growing pains.
We're working on that.
Cool. Well, I will send out links to the project idea board. I will send out links to the social media idea sheet. And just a general link to the whole folder.
We need to go to the city, so I don't think the city has Instagram and stuff. Do they?
I'm not sure.
Could we, even if the city doesn't have it?
CAPB unofficial.
I mean, I know the city of Conway, I guess you're right, but I don't know, we have one, and I don't know, probably would be up for double posting. Because he doesn't have a scheduler, like it's different if it was, if you have to, but I mean, I guess you look at Instagram, you can post to Instagram.
Or if we got them ahead of time, and then they can load us.
You can ask that.
We can explore that.
That was no.
No more now.
Yeah, so far the preference is, yeah, for the you like the post.
Oh, we have a comment on Instagram. Okay, good to know. Is
Hey!
there anything on it? Did I know that? Hey.
I've been telling the artist, I've been.
Okay, awesome. She's posting stuff for us, I guess.
All right.
Well, we will try to be more active on our existing and totally known about company.
Happy about that. I guess I assumed if we had one, we would have been posting on it too.
Hey, that we know an entrepreneur. Yeah, what a great addition to our work. So, thank you so much. Anybody have any last thoughts or last things we need to cover before we adjourn for today?
Jessica didn't really get back to me, she said she did get the agenda.
Perfect. I was just, I pulled her contact from her website and I was kind of sure that's the one that she checks normally, but then I didn't hear back and I was, you know. I do events in my day job too, and so like, I also have this anxiety right before a big event there that like, some crucial person has somehow not been clued into a very important part of what we're gonna do. And so that hit me with this today, so thank you, perfect. Awesome, well on that note, that everybody is plugged in and ready for tomorrow, I hope to see you all there. Hope everybody that it stays away or bring lots of umbrellas. And we'll see everybody there, hopefully no later than 5 o'clock, and we'll have a great event and meet some local artists and eat cookies and drink water. With that, motion to adjourn. Perfect. So since we had 4 seconds. Awesome, thank y'all so much.